Greetings, friends. My name is Mykola Volохov, call sign Abdullah. I am the commander of the TERRA unit. We are destroying the occupiers in the Kharkiv direction as a part of the 3rd Separate Assault Brigade. Traditionally, friends, thanks to everyone who supports us, and for everyone who wants to join, we have a fundraiser. We raise funds for communication systems and guidance systems, and so that all our drones hit the targets. The link to the collection is fixed in the description of the video. We also have Patreon, or you can become our sponsor on YouTube. Become our patrons or sponsors. I'll be very grateful. So let's go. The Vicholom crew is working on an enemy infantry fighting vehicle. An enemy infantry fighting vehicle is barefoot, which means that it lost its tracks. This can happen sometimes during an unsuccessful maneuver. The enemy disguised vehicle and left it in order to evacuate it later. We know it, so we will destroy it. You can see electronic warfare obstacles on the video. The ENG.VERs created these obstacles with their electronic warfare systems, those that are installed on the equipment and those that are installed in remote positions and targeted at our radio systems. Here, friends, you can clearly see that the gun is intact, a little bit of a mask mesh, a little anti-accumulative mesh, which protects the vehicle from overhead drops and from FPV strikes from above. And also an interesting detail, friends. You can see that the hatches through which the occupiers climbed out are covered with mesh. With a metal mesh in order to prevent FPV drones from flying inside. But the Vicholom crew is smarter. The first drone is used to remove the obstacles. Here you can clearly see the explosion, but ignition and detonation did not occur. The first drone removed the mesh that covered the hatch in the enemy infantry fighting vehicle. Let's see what happens next. Honestly, a lot of FPV crews work this armored vehicle. Sometimes it's hard to say who exactly struck the final blow. But for us, the main thing is the final result. Spoiler alert, the armored vehicle will be destroyed, as you already understood. The crew makes a second approach, and now you can see that the mesh is no longer there and the hatch is cleared. Direct hit by the Vicholom crew. Detonation is confirmed. Did you see the fireball? A more powerful ammunition was used because we knew that we were working for the destruction, and now you can see thick white smoke pouring from the hatch. It begins to catch fire. Friends, the equipment was destroyed, the drone flew inside, it all burned down to the ground. The evacuation of such vehicles no longer makes any sense for the enemy, and the firing mission is completed. And here, friends, we are hunting for an enemy tank. What exactly happened? The tank was going to work on our positions, but the crew did not calculate something and they drove into a crater from artillery. It would seem that tanks are not afraid of dirt, but such a crater can be a serious problem for them. The tank is bogged down, the crew evacuated, and the enemy left. Such equipment must be destroyed because at night the occupiers evacuate it, restore it if it's damaged. Well, in this case, it's not even damaged, just bogged down and therefore was abandoned. Here, friends, you can observe that the tank is modified and its armor is modified. It's welded with a metal on top. This is done to protect against the ammunition drops from above as well as from shaped charged ammunition. The ammunition will detonate, the cumulative jet will pass through this thin metal sheet, but is enough for a detonation to occur. And jet will not reach the main armor, and thus a thin metal sheet can save the tank from shaped charge ammunition. The pilots of the Vicholom crew know this, so they aim for the open hatch. By the way, friends, you may have noticed that, as in the case of the first infantry fighting vehicle, this hatch is also covered, so we know that the occupiers carried out certain camouflage and defensive actions so that later this tank can be evacuated. In fact, all those armored vehicles cost a lot, and no matter what anyone says, the ENG.VERs will eventually run out of them. They're already running out and value them greatly. Now, friends, from the Mavic 3 reconnaissance drone, you will see confirmation of a hit. There is an explosion. A cumulative jet enters the tank. White smoke begins to pour. In fact, as in the case of the infantry fighting vehicles, a lot of crews worked on this equipment. Anti-tank, mechanized, and assault battalions. Sometimes it's very difficult to say who destroyed it, but I will repeat myself, doesn't really matter. Destroyed by the 3rd Separate Assault Brigade, and the most important is not even who did it, but that the equipment was destroyed. Someone's FPV drone flew up and watches it. Maybe the crew is just deciding whether to hit or whether it's already over and will burn on its own. On additional reconnaissance, it's clearly visible that the tank is catching fire. The target has been destroyed. And now, friends, there will be perhaps my favorite thing, the destruction of enemy motorcycles. Since you see what happens to heavy armored vehicles when they approach, the enemy is trying to implement infantry logistics, ammunition logistics, and small cargo logistics with the help of all-terrain light equipment. Motorcycles, ATVs, buggies. I am involved in motorsports and civilian life, so I believe that the occupiers effing shouldn't ride motorcycles in any case. For me, in a way, this type of transport is sacred. Look, the crew is watching where the enemy motorcyclist is moving, waiting, not taking a shot, waiting for him to stop so that he's fixed at some point in space, and only now they engage. Direct hit, a confirmation from Mavic 3 reconnaissance drone. You see smoke, flash, fragmentation, ammunition has worked, and the motorcycle and the infantryman are destroyed. The hunt for effing logistics motorcycles continues. And now, friends, it may seem that the pilot is flying into the bushes and there is nothing there. In fact, it is difficult to see well camouflaged targets, more so through the FPV drone, with the quality that we get under the ENG.VER's electronic warfare equipment anyway. But we have reconnaissance data, we have a lot of intelligence, and we know that there is a hideout with the ENG.VER's motorcycle there. Watching the confirmation, the camouflage has been removed, it is clearly visible, the motorcycle is on fire, the gas tank caught fire. I think that there is no insurance that will cover such a case, and I think that this vehicle can no longer be used. And the infantry who arrived on it now has a big problem to get the F out. And here, friends, 2 enemy infantrymen were riding through the field, they heard the drones and dropped their motorcycles. Motorcycles have a very low profile when lying down, and thus they think that they will not be hit. They hit in the field, and it was decided to destroy the vehicles first, so that they could not escape, and then deal with them. Without motorcycles, you can't run far from drones on foot. The first motorcycle is hit by an FPV drone with high explosive fragmentation ammunition. They burn very nicely, very easy access to the gas tank, plastic gas tanks mind you. And here we go in to destroy the second motorcycle. The crew of overhead is working here, approaching the second motorcycle. The first motorcycle, if you noticed, of the Chinese brand ENG.VER. And here we have a blue one, I don't know what it is, but definitely not a Yamaha. This is a direct hit. Here you can observe the detonation on the Mavic 3 reconnaissance drone. I think that the target has been destroyed, and now we will shift our attention to the main course of the day, the ENG.VER's infantryman, who came on our land to occupy it. And there is only one way for them now, it is to the Kobzon concert. Spoiler, motorcycles burn well, 100% destroyed. And here are the 2 uninvited guests. They use camouflage tactics pretending to be dead. They do it, by the way, quite well, but we know that they are alive. We saw how they ran there, just ran and dropped on the field. Assumed the poses of dead people are natural poses, and a direct hit is made on one of them. He goes into the state that he tried to mimic, and the other one lost his cool from explosion and began to move. And confirmed our suspicion that they disguised themselves that way. Friends, on YouTube it will all be blurred. If you want to see the uncensored version, go to our Telegram channel. There we post uncensored versions and you can watch how it really was. And now, friends, the section on our work on enemy artillery. Enemy camouflaged the Rapier. Rapier is a direct hit anti-tank system. Its barrel is very massive, as we identified by the characteristic muzzle brake compensator. We know that this is a Rapier, a very massive barrel, and it is very well protected because it shoots According to the documents, it should shoot with direct fire. And the tank can hit it back, so enemy camouflaged it well. We also know that it can provide indirect fire. Here from the reconnaissance drone we see confirmation of the detonation. At least today the occupiers will not be able to work from this position. And here the enemy deployed a Nona. It is a self-propelled mortar that FPV paratroopers are very fond of using. A direct hit, they disguised it poorly. This is why in fact it was easily spotted. And now friends, section of work on enemy logistics. Enemy infantry with the help of light vehicles and simply, as we say, on foot, constantly carry ammunition to the front. They need it in order to carry out assault operations. They accumulate ammunition, you need a lot of it for assault and you can't bring it all at once. So they stack it. It lies like this in cages and it looks like garbage. They disguise it well and you never know if it's some old garbage, new garbage or ammunition. In such cases we don't spare drones, because if the enemy accumulates enough for an assault, it will create risks to the lives of our infantry. And the philosophy of our brigade is to use unmanned aerial vehicles as much as possible to save the lives of the infantrymen, who carry out the most difficult service, assault mechanized battalions on the first line of contact. We fly into this pile and we can see that this is really ammunition. One crate begins to light up a little. We have an eye for this, so we know that what it looks like, and now a second hit will be made. Friends, again, spoiler, it's all going to light up nicely. And the enemy will not have the potential to conduct assault operations in this area. You see, it is really very difficult to distinguish between this garbage and not garbage because it looks like this pile was here yesterday. Still, we must admit, FPVs are not bad at engineering. They mine well, they dig well, and they camouflage well. But the camouflage did not work this time. Detonation, it's always nice to see how the occupying forces, their property, everything is burning on our land, burning and detonating very beautifully and stylishly. You can look at this endlessly. You see how the reconnaissance drone does not look away but looks and enjoys. And the comment post, I am sure, is now watching and enjoying the result of coordinated reconnaissance work. The results of the coordinated work of unmanned aerial forces. By the way, a joke from our comrades from the 1st Assault Battalion. Is that a Rammstein performance there? You know how their flames are blazing on their concerts? We have the same here, only there is no band. Friends, now let's look at our memory from the Bakhmut campaign, where Zhora single-handedly, with drops from Mavic, tiny cumulative ammunition, destroyed a damaged T-80 tank. It needs to be such a small ammunition from the MK-19. Now you can see how Zhora actually equips it. It is a fragmentation cumulative munition. There's a charge-shaped funnel. It is designed to hit light armored vehicles. But if you drop on the tank from above and know where to aim, namely the radiator grill, then it is quite possible to burn it down. The tank lost a track on a mine, but it is still not destroyed. Again, anti-tank gunners also worked on it here. We must give them credit. But we want to be sure that it is 100% destroyed because, again, the FPVs like to evacuate and constantly do it. Zhora drops the cumulative ammunition at one point, pierces it, throws it into the radiator. Thick white smoke begins to come out of the tank, which indicates that something is burning there. Most likely oil is burning. You see there is a little bit of fire, a good hit, and there is a black smoke which indicates that a fire is starting. It is getting late and the FPV's T-80 begins to flare up. I will not keep the intrigue. It will burn to the ground by morning and will be 100% destroyed. Now, in fact, you can observe this. This is a decent job. This is a properly destroyed armored vehicle. You always have to finish it off. Everything that is not finished will be evacuated by the enemy and will be used against us. So friends, thank you for your attention. Support the TERRA unit, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, write comments, become our patrons on Patreon and sponsors on YouTube. This really helps a lot. Friends, victory will be ours. Glory to Ukraine.